having a drink.
Do it. What do you got?
I'm going to. Jameson.
Jameson's.
Mhm.
Jim. Can we call it Jimison? It's Jimmy.
Jameson.
What
Jimmy.
happened to the little glass of Jimmy?
No, this is the one of the beer casks. I think it's the stout cask.
Oh,
Jameson. It's really good. It's really smooth. It's. I
stout.
don't
So
usually.
they make it in a beer cask.
Yeah, they age it in a beer cask.
It's like the reverse of what a lot of the beers are doing.
Right.
They do a
Exactly.
bourbon cask. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's really, really good. I like it. It's smooth. I don't have to add anything to it. Not even ice. I actually prefer it without ice.
Well, saliva.
Yeah, well, that's not my saliva tends to be ice cold, my friend. Ice freaking cold.
That's awesome.
They
Yes.
call me Sub-Zero,
They
like the
not to your
refrigerator.
face.
No, I like Sub-Zero better than hey, look at that fridge.
Hey, okay. So we're building this house purportedly. And we're getting closer because there's a slab now. I don't know if we've
Hey,
talked about that or not, but
no, we haven't talked about a slab.
and we're hoping for the cinder block to be there. Maybe today or early next week or whatever. It's supposed to be there soon. So we're in the process of cabinets and countertops and yada yada yada. And you think you know what you want, and oh yeah, I've got to. And then now it's getting real, and we're like, well, maybe we should be looking at something else. So I'm online looking at this video on YouTube. They have 80 different backsplashes in a 13-minute video. And so they do these, and these kitchens are all, 10 times as expensive as the one ours might as well be in a pop-up trailer. But these other ones are just amazing. And there's kind of gosh, I wish I could remember the name of the video game, Nick. It was one on one of the consoles, and gosh, I can't, like Galaga. It was like Galaga, something like that. But anyway, the backsplash looked like that.
Oh, really?
It had like a
Interesting.
spider web sort of a thing. And so I'm looking at this kitchen. Okay, that's not bad. It's kind of interesting. They put the same finish on the fridge, and it looked like hell. What the heck were they thinking? So it's
I don't
backsplash
understand.
and
Yeah.
front.
I don't understand where some of these designs have come from. It's kind of like, so I follow this channel, I guess you want to call it, on Instagram that's all either mid-century modern or A-frame or
What is it?
restoration houses. There are a bunch of them. There's several of them.
Oh,
And
okay.
a lot of them
There
are,
are, right.
specifically the mid-century moderns, are houses that are that don't look like they've been updated since they were first built, right? So they're all for sale, but they've still got the shag carpeting and the wallpaper and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I can see how cool this is, but I would pretty much gut the entire inside of this house and make it more modern. I don't understand, because you walk into certain houses and they're just classic no matter what. You don't really need to make very many changes, like an old Victorian. You might want to update some things, but the woodwork and stuff, you could leave the same and it looks good. I don't understand where some of these.
And when you
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, when you buy a Victorian, we've got a little delay, so it cuts in and out. When you buy a Victorian like that, it's almost a sacrilege to change it. Floor plan. Oh, let's take down this wall, and I mean, that's why you buy one of those. Mid-century is a little different because they can work with like a different feel to it. They can work with the wall taken out here and a little more space. But a Victorian is, I mean, well, we decided to take out the parlor because no, parlor's beautiful. You got to leave it kind of the way it is.
You're right. Yeah. And that's the key right there, is figuring out it's really boils down to figuring out what you can leave and what you absolutely have to take out. And not sometimes it doesn't mesh up either with anything. So
No, you're absolutely right. And we were, in looking at houses down here before we decided to build, that's what drove us to build was because we'd see these places that need 100 grand worth of work, but because the market's so stupid in Florida, you'd have a $250,000 house, add another 100,000 to it and work that needs to be done. And,
Right.
suddenly you're in a house that's overpriced by at least 50 grand. And, maybe it'll go up, who knows? But I'd rather not, take the chance. And here's the set number on the house. Although we did have to
Yeah.
upgrade to the most expensive thing that they're having trouble getting. This is a
Mhm.
question I should ask you. So the builders
Okay.
told me the one thing they're having the most trouble getting is what?
Wood, I would assume.
No,
What is it?
you're not going to keep guessing until
Oh,
this could actually last the whole
yeah,
broadcast.
probably could. This is what the whole podcast is. Carpet,
I have a
tile,
hard time getting no, but
faucets.
I asked appliances.
Uh-huh.
Number one thing that they're having the hardest time getting is dirt. Fill. I'm like,
They can come here and grab some of mine.
well,
I got plenty.
I'm sure the transportation cost wouldn't be a problem.
No. If they
Yeah.
want it, they can. I'll give it to them for free. Just dig a hole that's kind of in the shape of a pool, and good to go.
Why is this like a kidney? Well, I don't know, honey. I have no idea.
I say that, but the only way to get a pool, in-ground pool in my backyard would be to have it craned over the house because there's no way really to get any equipment on either side of the house. That's
It's not
My
the
neighbors
only
are
way.
close. They're not that close, but they're pretty close. You can't get big equipment back there. Um, and I saw a picture on Instagram today of someone who was getting something delivered and had to do the same thing, but the crane it didn't anchor correctly, or it was whatever they were doing was too heavy for the crane. So you watch the crane
Tipped.
go right through the house. Yeah,
Oh,
that would be one of my biggest fears.
that would not be good. No, but I would say if you, I mean, there is another way. You don't have to use a crane. I think you're being very narrow minded. You could use a really big Huey helicopter, I think.
I could because that is,
See,
honestly, if I think about it, it's so much cheaper.
well, the nice part is that you pay enough and they'll actually give you the helicopter when they're done.
That would be nice.
Yeah, would that be
Originally,
great?
when I wanted to get my pilot's license, I really wanted to get my helicopter pilot's license.
You
But
did not. Really?
I did. I did. That's what I wanted to do. Little did I know. Here's a little thing, folks. A little history lesson about Nick. Not that you come here to listen to me talk,
Yes, I have.
hence
I
the
don't know about
podcast. I know
them.
you do. So anyway, when I was younger, we've talked about how much I've wanted my pilot's license and I've wanted it for a long time. But when I was younger, I loved helicopters. I was obsessed with helicopters along with airplanes. And I wanted to fly a helicopter. I wanted to learn how to fly a helicopter. When I was a senior in high school, I was being approached, obviously, like most seniors in high school, by the military. And I was always under the impression, and I didn't find out until much later in life, I was always under the impression because I wore glasses, I couldn't be a pilot. Therefore, I didn't want to join the military because if I joined the military, that's all I wanted to do was become a pilot. I didn't know because I actually met someone who was where I worked with. He was a sales guy on my in the company that I worked for. He was a helicopter pilot in the military, and he wore glasses. And I said, "How did you get around that rule?" And he said, "Helicopter pilots can wear glasses. It's only the fighter pilots
Wow.
that can't wear glasses."
Wow.
Yeah, and that was before LASIK became a thing. Because now you can,
Mhm.
I guess, now you can actually get LASIK and still become a pilot, a fighter pilot.
Well, as long as you can correct it, yeah, to a certain
Yeah.
level, sure.
Well, surgery, you couldn't have surgery to correct it, but you could have LASIK. I don't know how that works. So if
No,
anyone's a military
I
pilot out
understand,
there,
but yeah,
but
there are, I've heard instances of people like in a pressurized situation where people have had trouble with surgical repairs.
yeah,
So I don't know what that means, but it scares me just to think
Yeah, well,
about it.
when you're a fighter pilot and you gotta wear pants that's specifically designed to
Right.
push the blood back to your heart,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, I can see how that might be
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That would be scary.
I don't know. I kinda want those pants anyways, because can you imagine
Yeah.
sitting while doing work and just going "Rrr, rrr, 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 rrr," on your
Yeah,
legs?
for the man whose skinny jeans are not enough,
Right,
get the
exactly,
pressurized pants.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's a
yep.
that could be the
How do you
next thing.
think you fit into those skinny jeans? I mean, really.
I don't.
Neither do I. Yeah, I had a pair of
No.
skinny jeans once. That's all. I just had them once. I didn't wear them. I had them.
I actually did too, and, I think I made pockets on my other jeans out of them.
Really?
So yeah, they're, eh, so and I watched a comedian on YouTube this morning, coincidentally, um, and hilarious. He's talking and he's wearing like dude skinny jeans. And he goes, women, when they wear on the skinny jeans, yes, I own this place because they look hot in the skinny jeans. And
Sure.
dudes put them on, and it takes you a while to put them on because you got to arrange where you're putting stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, that is,
Yeah. I don't understand skinny jeans on men. I really don't.
look, if
It's
you're really slim, if you are, you buy extra slim suits and
Yep.
whatever,
Okay. You're right.
fine,
Yep.
fine. And my
100%.
son is pretty close to that. Michael is,
Yeah.
I think he just crossed a buck 60 at
Oh,
6'1" or something like that.
wow.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So he's obviously got the same powerful physique I do.
Is that what
So
we're calling it, John?
no, we're not. But happily, looking at old pictures, he looks a lot like I did. But I was at his age, I was over 200 pounds or probably close to
Solid
that.
muscle, right? You were a bodybuilder?
Sure,
There's
let's
Yeah.
say
You're a
that.
builder of some sort. Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
say
Yeah, I was a
yeah, yeah.
builder. I was a builder. Hey, nobody wants to be a fat builder.
That's right.
I would volunteer for that. No, I
Yeah, it's when you get those people that are wearing skinny jeans where their stomach is hanging over the jeans. That's when
oh.
you
Well,
not
and
to be
it's the dudes.
critical of people. I'm not body
It
shaming. I
it's
apologize for those who think I am.
whatever.
I don't want to get canceled.
It's the dudes that will say, yeah, same size jeans I wore in high school, except they have the big ass belly over the
That's not quite skinny jeans at
top.
that point. That's
Well,
grow the
no.
fuck up.
No, but they have, and this is you see dudes like this that have the chicken legs
Mhm.
and then the big belly. And
Mhm.
my whole goal is, even though I'd like to get rid of some of the belly, is to never have those chicken legs ever. So I'm
Right.
doing stuff in the gym I should not be doing. Not stupid stuff, but
Let's
just
not.
stuff that.
I mean, this is a family podcast. Let's not talk about the things you should not be doing.
When did this start becoming a family
It
podcast?
always has been, John. My family's been on it.
Has
Your
it?
family's been on it. Yeah.
Oh, they've been on it, but we're always
Yeah.
good
So
when
it's a
they're on
family
it. But
podcast.
behind their backs, behind their backs.
Yes.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
goodness,
Yeah.
no, no,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay. So moving on. Moving on. Let's
Yes,
so
let's move on
speaking
from
of
skinny jeans because I
skinny
thought we could
jeans. So
spend
I'm
a lot
not
of time on that. Yeah.
we absolutely could, but I
No.
am I do want to talk about skinny jeans because I had before we got on the podcast today, I was explaining to John my hectic travel schedule. I have hit the pinnacle of travel for the spring, and I
Hectic.
am all over the place. I this week alone, just this week alone, I took 6 flights. So just to give you an
Mhm.
idea, I have been all over. But I found it interesting, and I actually emailed myself as a potty. The subject line says potty subject because I thought of it while I was standing in the Phoenix airport waiting for my flight, and you know how much I love and respect and dislike in the same breath Southwest Airlines. I think they
I know you
have
do.
probably the best customer service out of any
Yeah.
airline. I really do. I will say that to
Yeah.
my dying day. They have fantastic customer service. Their flight
Yeah.
attendants are wonderful. Their pilots are wonderful. Everything is
Mhm.
great. But I hate waiting for the airplane. I hate waiting in line. I hate the cattle call and I hate open seating. So, that said,
Wow, they're sassy.
I am sassy.
Mhm.
We have talked about how travel has changed since the pandemic, and that we
Big
have
time.
fewer business travel, quite a
Yes.
few more pleasure travel. And right now, this past week was spring break for a lot of people, so there was a lot more happening at the airports. Not as bad as I had expected, to be perfectly honest. I was actually
Good.
pleasantly surprised. I On my first two flights, I actually got upgraded, so I was pretty happy about that. And I was flying further south, though, so that was good. Anyway, I'm at the airport in Phoenix, and we're lining up. And I was B2 coming back to
Oh,
Nashville, which I should have
okay.
been A group because I paid for it, and I still got B2. So if that tells you how busy they really were, I still got B2.
Wow.
Yeah, and so
I
I'm
would
I'm
be mad.
I bet you would. And it was we had a delay, not because of the airplane, not because the pilots weren't there, because the flight attendants were on another flight coming in, and someone had their airplane parked at the gate and hadn't moved it out of the way for that new one to come in. So they had to wait for that so they could remove that airplane, bring their airplane up, deplane, clean the airplane, and then come over to our plane. So we weren't too badly. Anyway, that's a whole other story.
Hmm.
I'm standing in line. It's a mass of people, and I'm already not happy with that because I don't like people. It has nothing to do with the pandemic, people. I just don't like people. I really don't like people. I like a person. I don't like people.
Mhm.
I'm not a anyway. Part
Yes.
of we were talking about earlier. I love California. I was also in California this week. I love California. I just would never want to live there. And it's really, honestly, it boils down to a few things, but one of them, people. There are too many people there.
It's
Way too
peoply.
many people. It's very peoply. Anyway,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
digress. Standing in line, waiting, and there were a few people, there were probably a handful of people, 6, 7, 8, 10 people, who thought, you know what, I'm not going to wait in line. I'm just going to wait and I'm going to count the number of people, and then I'm going to get in line and get in when my numbers are out there. I just don't want to stand in that line. I'm like, MFR, please. We have to stand in line. You need to stand in line. And then there was actually a guy that cut in front of everybody and said, I'm normally on the A list. I'm normally A list. And, for some reason,
What?
my ticket didn't say A list. I was a list on my last connecting flight. I was an A list. And the lady said, I normally wouldn't do this because you're not allowed to, but fine. We're busy, we're packed, and there are too many people not doing the right thing. So I'm going to let you go. She said that out loud. I'm just going to let you go. And he got on the flight before the rest of the group. I'm like, seriously? Why can't people just wait? I'm forced to wait on an airline that I don't like waiting on, and you can't wait?
Well,
I mean,
some people are
seriously.
clearly way more important.
Yeah. I'm watching people that are doing the pre-boarding, and God bless them. Maybe they do have a really good excuse, but I'm going, it's supposed to be for people that need extra time. It's supposed to be for people that have small children, and it's supposed to be for people that are in the military, active duty military.
Mhm.
You're none of those three things. Why are you pre-boarding? I mean, oh man. One other thing, we've talked about it before. It's my favorite line. I usually get aisle seats.
Hmm.
I was B2, folks. B2. Still not a bad
So,
position to
so
be
for
in if you've never
for those
flown
that don't fly
Southwest.
Southwest, B2 is after there are 30 in A, and then the next
Another
30.
30. Yep. So
No,
60
30
people.
or 60 in A.
It's
30 in
60
A.
people in A.
And then
Yep. No, it's
60 in
60 in
A.
A.
No,
It's 60. No, it's 60. It's group A 1 through
is it?
30, and group
You're
group
right.
A 1 through
It's A
15
1 through
is
30 and
premier.
31 through 60.
Yep. Yep.
Yep, you're
And,
right.
and then
Okay,
they
so
go to
it's
B
60 and
group, and
A.
then C
So you
group, and
were
then
the
D group or C group
62nd person
to get
theoretically.
on the airplane,
63rd
on an
after
airplane
the
that
other church to get
seats
on the airplane.
180 plus.
Yep.
There were still
And where
plenty
did
of
you end up?
spots. Yeah, normally and you get plenty of spots. Anywhere I would say you could get up to about B10, B12, which is a good vitamin, before you start not being able to pick the seat you want, right?
Before
Nope.
it's not as good a vitamin.
Right. I get on the airplane, no aisle seats left.
Wow. Not even
Yeah,
all the way to the back of the
not
plane?
even all the way to the back.
Well, how does that work?
There were 60 people, and I guess every single one of them wanted an
There
aisle. Well,
had to be
there
more
were
than
60 plus.
60.
Remember all the
Yeah, you
because
had
so
had
how it works,
pre-orders.
folks, is with Southwest, you get A 1 through 15, and then A all the way to 60. So 60 people get on the airplane. Then they do the pre-board. The pre-board comes after A, and then they do B. Usually, the pre-board are those folks, people with small
Yeah,
children, people
yeah.
that are handicapped and active duty military. Usually, there are
Well,
not that many people. There were
the people that
probably, and then go ahead.
I'm sorry, the people that need extra time are usually first before anybody,
On
along
most
with
flights,
they have
not on
they have
Southwest.
another special group. Actually, I think on Southwest they
You
are.
can get a special group, a special thing on your ticket to go before that.
Got it. You have to
But
have that. You're absolutely right.
right,
But you're
right.
right about kids, parents with kids and strollers
Yep,
or whatever, and
yep,
active duty military and so on. You're absolutely right.
right.
Sorry, go on.
So in this case, there were probably an extra 30 people that were pre-boarding.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. I just again, and I don't think I would probably say half of them maybe should not have pre-boarded.
Wow. So
I was
where were
I
you?
was
Windows? Did you
I
take a
window seat.
window?
I got a window seat. Yeah, I can deal with a window seat. I dehydrated myself enough where I wasn't worried about I had to go to the bathroom. So
Somebody sitting next to you?
yeah,
Did somebody have to take a middle?
the whole way, big dude.
No, it
I
was
was
packed.
sitting like
Yeah.
this the whole time
Ah!
because I'm not small. I would never admit to
No.
being small, but this guy was much
No.
bigger than I was. Not
Wow.
fat, muscular.
Yeah,
Like
just
he
big.
was
Yeah.
it was like four people. They were the last four people that were coming on, and it was like three small people and one big, huge buff dude. Big, huge buff dude decided to sit with me. Yeah.
I still maintain on Southwest, especially because, again, if you're not familiar with them, they uh, you choose a seat as you go in as they're open, and so they don't have pre-assigned seats. If you didn't catch that from Nick's uh, the commentary, but when I'm sitting in and I get on early, I will often make myself look as large as I can.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yep.
you're less likely to get people sitting next to you. And then when the tiny people come in, if I see somebody going down the aisle that's small, I'm going to make myself look tiny. Oh, there's plenty of room here because I don't want the large Marge or
Well,
Marge
and don't lie to
Al.
our audience. And I'm sure your wife would probably be the first one to say you do the same thing. You look for the really attractive people that are coming in too, because you wouldn't mind sitting next to them.
That's what I meant when I said small people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said small, not super attractive.
Small, hot people. Fine.
Yeah. Hot
Even
people,
the
yeah.
dudes. Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
you're kind of
I'm
small
not
and you're
being.
very
Yeah.
handsome.
There's definitely there's no objectification coming out of our mouths. Not on this That's podcast. See, now we've changed the
Wow.
industry so much with our podcast. Yeah, and
We
John,
have.
speaking of, not
Yes.
to change the subject, but I'm going to. I sent you last week our numbers, and they were similar this week when I got the report. And folks, I can no longer say we have 3 listeners. I can no longer say we have 5 listeners.
Well, you could say
We have
it.
we could say it, but it wouldn't be true anymore.
I know.
I don't know. You guys, the listeners, have done a wonderful job letting your
It's
friends
pretty
know about
awesome
us because
considering it's
we
just
are.
us.
Yeah, exactly. And to tell you, it's not a huge number, but to us who've been looking for a long time at our numbers, we jumped up to over 200 listeners, which is
What?
fantastic. So thank you all so much. I know that doesn't sound like a
Yes, we
lot,
love
especially
all
when
of
we
y'all.
talk about, people like Joe Rogan
But it
and
is
stuff like
to
that with
us.
millions, but to us, yeah,
Yeah.
we don't do any advertising, folks. You are the driving force behind
True.
who listens
True
to
that.
Potty Mouse podcast. We do no
And if
advertising.
And you can give us feedback too, because we would love to hear ideas. Because we'll do stupid things to go viral and to
Well, you should.
become rich
I
and
mean, let's
famous
just
like
listen to the
Joe Rogan.
podcast. I
So
mean,
let
we
us know.
do a lot of stupid things. Yeah, exactly. Joe Rogan's
Yeah, that's
podcast.
actually true. Yeah,
Yeah, we do a
yeah.
lot of
He,
stupid
you know what?
things.
So
Just
I've actually listened to some of his stuff lately, and
yeah,
because I'm not a podcast listener typically, I listen to ours. These guys are good. That's usually what I say. But
yeah.
Rogan, he's really a good lilistener, and I give him lots of
He
credit
is.
for that.
Yeah,
He asks some
something
good
we are not.
questions and so on. We Did you say something? But he really is a good interviewer. He
He
will
is.
let people go, and that's really a talent, I think, when it's an interview style show.
That's the whole point of his show, though, and that's something that he keeps trying to get across. And I think, honestly, I know we've made fun of it, we've talked about it, we've gotten angry about it, but the whole thing where they were trying to cancel Joe, that's why I think he survived. Is the fact that he can point to the fact that I am not taking a stance on any of this. I will share my opinion, but I'm not taking a stance. All I want people to do is come here and talk,
Hmm.
and I don't care what side they're talking on. I just want them to come and talk and share their story.
I just love it when the cancel culture finds that they've bitten off more than they can chew.
Yeah, and I think they
I
did
love
in
that.
this case.
I
I really
totally
do
will.
think they
Well,
did.
let's take the biggest guy because what Spotify's going to really like
Yeah,
there wouldn't be a lineup of other podcasting companies waiting in the way. Hey, Joe, go over here,
yeah,
Joe. Because how many listeners? Seriously. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah, I just. Well, sorry. Let's see. Neil Young, Joe. Sorry, Joe. We got to let you go. Seriously.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. On what
Well, and
planet?
then okay, so you got Neil Young, you've got Joni Mitchell, you got and like five other people, and they
Yep.
still their downloads pale in comparison, all combined, pale in comparison to Joe
Oh,
Rogan's.
absolutely all
So
combined. But
yeah, they're gonna say,
I
"Oh,
get,
I'm so
and
sorry."
I'm not sure about all of them. I'm sure there were one or two in there that were doing it too. Oh, remember me? Here I am.
Yeah,
And people are, ooh, yeah, Neil Young. I like his music. Said no one ever. And so whatever. But
yeah.
I, that's fine. I'm not here to throw shade on those guys. I just think I've really enjoyed listening to some of his, and he's got some interesting guests. I can't listen to all of them.
No,
Two
and
and a
I
half
don't.
hours, 2.5 hours of
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus. I'm
No,
sorry. I
exactly.
love her
I
voice,
actually don't.
but
I don't
you
even
got to
listen to
stop
the
it at
MMA
some point.
fighters.
Yeah.
That's where I cut it off. And I'm sorry, I've been talking over John. It seems like, and I apologize. And I know he already
Hmm.
said this, but there is a delay. So we're having technical difficulties today, which is, it has been rare, but I was going to say it's not usually rare in the potty mouths. In fact, the
We've
last
had
week's
remember the early
oh yeah,
days.
yeah. Well, the last week's episode, I chose it for a reason. It was actually the very first. So last week's episode actually marked 1 year of our videos of the podcast.
Well, it
So
was a
our YouTube,
classic
yeah, it was a classic
episode. Well, last
episode,
week
but
was, yeah, but the classic
it was
video.
supposed to be the number one video, the first time we'd ever done video on YouTube for our podcast, and it failed. The technology just wasn't there. It didn't work, and we lost half of it. So we ended up just doing an audio podcast and saying no video. It was the first one. So technically, this one airing is going to be exactly 1 year since we started putting videos on YouTube.
Woohoo!
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, what I'm still most angry about that first one is that we kind of thought it was videoing, and I wasted an entire hour of smiling and looking pretty,
Yeah.
like I
Well,
do
and
now.
don't
And
forget the
so,
hour in the chair that you had when Lisa was putting the makeup on you.
yes, I had that exactly. And yeah, because to look like this doesn't come easily.
No, we know,
No,
John.
you're the one. Look, if people are looking at a side by side right now, and I'm sure in between gagging, look and say which one is more likely to be wearing makeup. That's all I'm saying, not
Yeah.
me. Because if they
Well,
had
I have
makeup
an
like this,
excuse
this is
right
like
now though for wearing the makeup that I'm wearing. So folks, here is my travel schedule. I'm gonna share my
this
travel
should be good.
schedule. Yeah. Tuesday of this past week. Nashville to Houston, Houston to San Antonio, meeting, San Antonio to Houston, Houston to Los Angeles, Next day, meeting. Following day, well, actually, several meetings. Following day, 2 more meetings that were granted virtual, so I could do them in my hotel room. Then a flight from Los Angeles, and not LAX, Santa Ana, which is John Wayne. So,
Oh,
I
John
don't know,
Wayne.
for those of you who have not flown in there, we'll talk about that in a second because I think it's very interesting. But it's an interesting ride in and out. So it's John Wayne to Phoenix, Phoenix to Nashville. And then because of all that, I spent the entire day on Friday doing all of my work that I hadn't been able to do because I was traveling the whole time. So it's been a very long, tiring week. That's why I look this tired. That's why the nose being red is because it's really warm in the room and I just had whiskey. So,
Jameson.
what can you do? Jameson.
Oh,
It's whiskey. Just Irish whiskey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Irish whiskey.
But my nose was red before I had the whiskey.
No, I think it's not your nose. We've seen you when you turn and you look in your little makeup mirror and you panic because you look beautiful. Your skin is
Yeah.
sparkling.
Yeah. And add a little touch up my lipstick. Yeah, absolutely.
You should actually
Anyway,
touch it
I
up
do want to
again.
talk about the Santa Ana airport. I actually really like
Yes,
that airport. People were
I do
telling me
too.
how wild the ride was going in and out, and they were comparing it to Midway. And Midway is a wild ride going in and out as well. I would say Midway's worse. I mean, when
I
last
agree.
time I went to Midway, granted the weather wasn't great, but land on the runway in Midway, it felt like you were landing on a aircraft carrier. Same with Santa Ana or John Wayne. It's a short runway, so you hit and it's bam, brakes. Whoa! I mean, you are sitting with your face in the seat if you don't have your seatbelt on or tight. But flying out, they said that it was a really even the pilot said, "Listen, for those of you who have never flown out of this airport, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to," and he was very specific. And I'm like, "All right, let's buckle up, let's do it." And then he took off, and I'm like, "This is nothing. I've been in a
What time was your flight?
steeper climb than this." Out of there, it was 3:30, 3 or
Oh,
3:30 in
okay.
the afternoon.
Because I usually often I've flown out of there early morning. They have noise abatement, and
Yeah,
what
that's
that
what he was.
means
Yeah,
is
so it's
they
steep
cannot
takeoff.
fly out of there. Yeah, right, exactly. But also because they cannot take off until 7 in the morning. And
Right.
when they
Yeah.
do, it's exactly like that. It's a steep climb, so the
Steep climb to
surrounding
1,000 feet,
area. Yep.
level off, lower or bring the engines back, go out over the bay, and then, or not the bay, go out over the ocean, and then start climbing again. That's how they do it.
It's exactly right.
Which is
Exactly
interesting.
right.
It wasn't as bad as I had expected. That's all I have to say. So
I
it's much more adventurous flying out of Midway.
What's your yeah? What's your? Do you remember any in particular scariest airport for
Midway is by
landing?
far Midway is by
Really?
far the scariest. Yep.
I've flown in and out of Midway several times, but you're right.
I
I
have
mean, it's
too, and it
there.
has nothing to do with the airport itself. It has more to do
Oh,
with the weather that was happening around, which caused it to be. It was bumpy.
well,
I mean, we were everywhere, and I'm like, okay, if I were the pilot, I'd
sure.
probably go around at this point, and then bam, you hit the runway. Yeah, that was the scariest.
Well, it's a short runway too, because of
Yep,
its location, where it's. I mean,
right.
Cicero, and I can't think of the other avenue right now, but it doesn't matter. But there are several stories in the past where planes, Southwest one in particular that I remember, that actually did not stay on the runway.
Yeah.
It went off the end. And oddly enough, used to be my home airport, Madison, Wisconsin, was one of the it was a more, I don't know why it is. It's always windy when I'd land there. And
Hmm.
that's one of, I think, just two, maybe three in all the years I've flown that we had to do a go around again. And Madison, we had crosswinds one time coming in, and we're in this little dinky plane for that flight. And the pilot was awesome. He's just we're coming in and it's being blown, and I can tell it's getting ugly. And he just hits it and comes back. We're going to give that one another shot, he said. And the wind is, I mean, it's scary wind. It's like you were describing in Midway. Come back around, and we came in, and it's almost like an angle, it seems like. And he drops it down, big wind, smooth as silk. And we get up to the gate, and he's standing outside the door. And I said, "Well, Harry there," and he goes, no big deal. And I'm like, you guys are awesome.
That's the right kind of pilot. That's the kind of pilot you want. Now, yeah, okay, so
That's what you want.
that,
Yes.
yeah. So I guess that the one airport that's very, very scary flying into, I never flew commercially into it. I would go, we've talked about my trips to Canada every summer for the golf tournament. So we would be in my stepdad's airplane, but my brother would be the one who flew the airplane.
Oh, okay.
And my stepbrother. And we'd fly into Minot. Minot would be the stop, in Minneapolis to Minot, North Dakota. Then Minot to Saskatoon, Saskatoon to wherever we needed to go, wherever we were going. Usually, actually, Saskatoon was usually where we would stop, and we'd drive up the rest of the way. Minot is like that. It's always windy. It's always windy. And one time we took off from Minot, and I forgot my sunglasses. I'm an only child, so this is a big deal for me. So I said, I want to go back and get my sunglasses. So my brother, being a nice guy, turned around and said, I need to come back. They said, do you need to declare an emergency? He's like, no, we just forgot something. We're going to land. Hey, he knew all the guys there because he actually went to school in Minot. And so he knew some of the guys that were in the tower. And he's like, no, my brother just lost something. He forgot something. He needs to pick it up. And they said, well, we don't have anything open, but we have that closed runway over there. It's a nasty crosswind. You want to try it? And he did. And I shit you not. And I'm sorry, Mom, I'm swearing. I shit you not. Here's the runway. This was the airplane coming in like that. And then right at the last second, boom. To the point where once he was down, it keyed up the mic and you heard everyone in the tower going,
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
that was the scariest landing I've ever had. I got my sunglasses back.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are an only child for sure. Just one real quick one. My fly around one of the other ones I remember was in Omaha. And it was a nice day. And I'm thinking, well, this is going to be flawless. It's nice and
day
easy.
In Omaha can still be windy. Yeah.
We get down, we're 1,000 feet, maybe 500 feet and approaching. And suddenly, and this was a 737, and so he kicks it down and we come back around and he goes, looks like they had some cattle in the runway. So we're going to give it another shot. No, that's called a missed approach. It is Omaha, but there's no cattle in the runway because we can see clearly it's 75 and sunny. There ain't no cattle out there. It was pretty
That's hilarious. The only time I've ever had to go around was here in Nashville. I was flying back from, I think, where was I flying from? I think I was flying from Seattle, and we had a missed approach. It actually wasn't a missed approach. There was someone else still on the runway.
Yeah.
And so the pilot had to go back around.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But on that note, folks, if you've got any stories about your missed approaches or having to go around or your scariest landing,
Midway
leave it in
Airport.
the comments, or Midway Airport, or Santa Ana Airport.
Sure.
Burbank. Leave it in the comments. Head up to our social media. John's just dying over there. Head up to Facebook, Instagram, any one of those places, and just let us know. We'd be interested in hearing from you and hearing what you have to say about it. And I know I was having a cocktail while John was here. I was meant to say that. It was not a happy hour episode. It's just been a very long week, and I just wanted to have a cocktail. So we weren't ignoring it. I just wanted to call that out. But anyway, folks, have a wonderful week. And John, I know we're going to have a wonderful week because it's, us and we have a wonderful life, but I hope you have a fantastic weekend, the rest of your weekend for that.
Thank you, brother.
Go lay on your slab and feel like you're at home.
Lay on your slab. I think it's
Lay on your
actually
slab.
lie on your slab.
Lie on your slab.
Lie.
Whatever. Whatever. I don't really care. On that note, folks, have a great weekend. See you later. Or a week. I'm sorry, week. We're going to have a good weekend.